I could barely be trusted to look after myself at 18.
I'd only just learned how to roll a joint.
Is that how you gauge things?
I just figured out how to wipe my ass. I'll get it.
Being able to piss on his own, rolling and joint, to be able to last 10 minutes without masturbating.
I just mastered being able to break a fruit corner yogurt without getting strawberries on there. I just learned how to stop after popping on a tube of Pringles.
So, my producer said to me today, he said, why is it so important that
Hi guys, how are you?
We're good, thank you.
Have you been sat there waiting for us for like the last 10 minutes?
I was actually waiting for you to reply and say, right, okay, I'm ready. So I was literally looking at...
It's 5:45, Frank.
We've done the podcast. It's all done.
Done the podcast.
Yeah, it's done.
I've had to impersonate you the entire time.
This is the first time This is the first time he's worn a shirt in 2 hours.
All I had to say was my bars every 20 minutes, and I think we're good.
Sai, as long as he's wearing just the t-shirt, then
we were debating what you were going to wear when you came on, and I said nothing apart from just a black thong lying next to his mum.
Lying next to what?
Lying next to his mum. I rang him when we went to Germany. We went to the bar that he used to work in, in Tübingen, and I rang him while we were there, and I was like kind of like, hello, hello, Sai, and I was like, hi,
oh yes,
look where I am, and he was like, oh, you're there, and he sort of panned down, and I was like, what are you wearing? Just my Speedos. And why are you doing that? Oh, it is hot. It is hot. And then pans across. And was it your mum that was lying next to you?
No, it was my niece. No, it was my niece.
Yeah, that's much better. That's much better. Who are you? Where are you? Why are you? When are you? How are you? What is you? Who are you? Who are you? Where are you? Why are you? When are you? How are you? What is you? Say what is you? Who are you? Where are you? Why are you? When are you? How are you? What is you? I say what is you? Who are you? Where are you? Why are you? When are you? How are you? What is you? I say what is you? So did you get all that, Frank?
How many questions I've got to answer now? Too many questions.
About 5, I think.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 questions.
But you've got to answer each one twice.
I've got to answer each one twice. Well, I can try to do it that way. Well, who are you? I am Francesco, but also known as Frank for my UK, my friends in the UK.
Does that include us?
I think so.
Yeah, okay, that's all right.
What was the other question? When are you? Well, I am here now, today, in 2021. And which one was the other question? What are you?
Yeah.
Good question.
That's why it's there.
Good question. Well, I'm a...
I thought his Zoom had paused then.
He is gone.
BA, I'm dead. Fuck. What am I? Well, definitely I'm a human being that tries to understand his
genitalia.
No, I'm definitely.
It doesn't matter how hard you try and get away from it. I'm going to keep pulling you back.
It's very complicated. This question is such a broad question that you think, right? Okay, how do I answer this question?
Well, let's just imagine you're walking past somebody in the street and they just turn around, they look at you, and you look at them and you think, what the fuck's going on? And they go, what are you? What's your comeback?
Well, I would say I'm a person. I'm Frank. I'm Francesco. You know me.
So what about what's the next one? How are you?
I'm very well. I'm a little bit confused by the "what are you" question, which I thought it was a lot easier to answer. But
do you want to answer that at the end of the podcast?
I'll try. We'll try. Let's leave it. Let's leave it as last question.
To talk about your top 5 favorite films. Do you have any rejects or any that potentially could have been on your list on a different day? Or is there some that were on your top 5 and you ended up taking off when you remembered something else?
Yes, that's exactly what happened. I put together quite a long list, and I've got a few rejections that first I believed they could be part of my top 5, but then for some weird reason, no, I decided just to.
So give us some clues as to one of your rejects.
Clues.
I'm going to need more than that.
I remember you two.
Is it
guys.
an Agatha Christie film? Is it?
No.
Don't tell me.
I remember you two guys once at Jessup's watching at me and saying, "Francesco, you're such an open book for us because you can basically you." Always been able to read my mind, but just by looking at me and the facial expression I would do at that particular moment, or the particular stand I would, particular position I would take in that moment.
Well, it didn't take a genius to sort of make the call that, when I see a guy with one leg putting the kettle on and the other leg up the chimney, that man clearly carries confidence. I mean, I could walk into any shop and see that stance and go, that guy's confident.
Measuring the distance between my feet, actually.
I've never seen anyone, when relaxed, be able to stand so widespread. If you were lying down, legs akimbo type thing, it was. I've never seen it, and to be able to do it without anyone noticing was almost terrifying.
Almost terrifying.
Yeah.
Looking back and thinking, sort of like from the outside and being maybe, sort of like one of the cameras in the store would, in that particular moment, point at me. That could be quite disturbing. I would.
You're still the only man I've ever met who can have one leg on the hedgerow and the other one in Headingley.
So, yeah, and I, completely agree with you two. I think it's very simple. It's always been very, very simple for you to understand what is going through my mind in a particular moment. So it will be quite difficult for me to give you clues without giving you a clue that will just tell you the film. But I will try. I'll try to be as general as possible.
Okay. Was it so? Have you got like on your list? Have you got like a number 6 and 7?
Well, I've got my up to number 5, but all the others, in a way, they can. I could easily just change their position. All of them are quite. Could be my position 6, for example.
I've read that book; it's filthy. But could you just tell us like one reject? So what one that isn't in your top 5, but you sort of think it probably should have been in, but it isn't this time.
Okay, can I be general, very, very general on the clue, or you want me to just tell you the title of that?
Give us a clue.
Give us a clue.
Is, I think, one of your favorite directors of all times.
Is it a Martin Scorsese film?
Jesus. Yes, it is.
Right.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Is it Casino?
No, it's not.
Is it Taxi Driver?
No, it's not.
Is it Goodfellas?
No.
Is it Raging Bull?
No.
Is it The Departed?
And actually, that's an amazing film, by the way.
It is.
Guys, I'm changing my top 5. Just give me a sec.
No. I'm not changing my top 5. Probably if I review it tomorrow, based on where I feel tomorrow, maybe I'll change it, but not now.
Yeah.
So this is your
no, it's not.
This is your 6th favorite film, let's say,
Yeah.
and it's a Martin Scorsese film.
Yes, it is.
Well, it's weird because I've said the 4 that I thought it would be. Obviously, otherwise I wouldn't have said them.
Can you give us an idea of when it was released, roughly?
It was released after definitely after 2005.
Is it The Wolf of Wall Street?
Yes, it is The Wolf of Wall Street.
Right.
The Wolf of Wall Street. I've been debating a lot on this because I think of course, it's very simple to say it's an amazing film, but I think DiCaprio and Scorsese, I think in this film just reached a perfect relationship between the two. Basically, DiCaprio giving Scorsese exactly what he wanted. And if I'm not wrong, the two of them were planning to do this film for a long time, but then they got to have the possibility to do it after 2010. So between 2010 and 2013, when the film was released. And I think, I don't know how many times I watched it. I don't know how you feel about this, guys. I don't know if this was any of your favorite, or it would be any of your favorite films.
It's not. I mean, Scorsese is absolutely my all-time favorite director, and a lot of my favorite films are Scorsese films. Certainly the older ones, like Taxi Driver is one of my all-time favorites. But then, the like the 90s ones, like Casino and Goodfellas, are some of my favorite films. Wolf of Wall Street is one that it almost has like the Gladiator effect on me, where you can be flicking through channels, and if Gladiator's on, it doesn't matter whereabouts in the film it is, you can't help but sort of be tempted to watch it.
Is that because of Wolf or Jet?
The big foam fingers. And Wolf of Wall Street is kind of the same, where if it's on telly or if I'm flicking through, like random videos online and that, and there's, so many times there's clips and scenes. Wolf of Wall Street has so many good scenes in it.
Yes,
and,
definitely.
Yeah, and I actually love one of my favorite scenes is the Matthew McConaughey scene when they're sat.
I was going to say that.
Yeah, that's absolutely brilliant. When he's asking him how many times he jerks off a day, and he goes,
because he has to.
I do it to
keep his pressure low.
I don't do it because I want to. I do it because he goes, sure, I want to, but I do it because I fucking need to.
Yeah. Yes.
And quality. So, try to think of what. Go on.
I've never been able to understand Matthew McConaughey's accent. Do you know? You've been in the US, and are you able to sort of like locate?
I think he's from Southern, isn't he? I think he's like Southern. He's like from down south, isn't he, in America?
From down south.
Like a Texan or something like that.
Yeah.
So, let's have a look.
Because he's got always the S, very sort of like you can hear it quite for a prolonged period of times.
He's from Texas.
From Texas.
He's from Uvalde. Uvalde.
Okay.
I don't know why I said that like he's from Norway. He's from Uvalde in Texas.
Yeah.
I've always struggled with Matthew McConaughey. I can't even say his name for a start. But obviously very early on in his career, he was regarded as being pretty shit. And it's still in my head that he's pretty shit, but I know that he's gone on to do some very good films. I've not seen any of them because in my mind I still think he's classed as being.
It's terrible. It's terrible.
Yeah, and so it's tricky because he's obviously was it Dallas Buyers Club, I think it's called, which everyone says, oh, he's amazing in that. Is amazing, and I've not seen that, but anytime I've seen him in anything, he's pretty awful.
I think he's one of those actors that, and I think I sort of paint Robert Pattinson in the same way, is that early on in the career, because of how they look, they tend to get involved in a lot of like rom-com, chick flick type films that you wouldn't typically choose to watch because they're 10 a penny. But actually, as they get older, they start taking on really good roles and becoming really, really good actors. And Leonardo DiCaprio is the same, even though he's always been good, really. But certainly as he gets older, he gets better and better and better. And with Scorsese, like you said, Frank, has absolutely brought out so much good in him. And Matthew McConaughey is the same way. He doesn't do a lot of shit. He gets involved in a lot of good stuff.
On this, I can agree with both of you, and I think I had the same opinion about him like you did, Simon. For some reason, maybe it was but I feel a different way on this. Like, what I'm trying to say is that I think every actor that has reached that level and is, been hired by some, good directors, has very, very good skills. He is a very good actor. So that's, I think, from my point of view, it's not questionable. I think that, and it's an actor in particular needs also to find a character that he is able to represent due to the way he is as a person. So literally to be able to dive into a character so much that will then change his professional career completely. I don't know if I've been able to express myself properly. What I'm trying to say is that,
like Tom Hardy and Bronson.
Correct. Tom Hardy and Bronson. I mean, Tom Hardy is an amazing actor, but with that character in particular, he's been able to express himself fully, completely, and also maybe make more people understand what he was capable of. And after that, probably his career, continued on, getting better and better.
But Tom Hardy is a good example because for the first time I watched. Have you ever seen Rock and Roller?
Yeah.
I haven't seen that one.
Yeah. Don't.
No. All right. Okay.
Yeah, it's a Guy Ritchie film, and obviously, Snatch is one of the best films of the last 20 years. Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels was pretty amazing as well. And then sort of early 2000s, he did Rock and Roller, and I just avoided it. And I don't even know why. It was. If you ever saw Revolver, which was his third film,
right,
that Ross will probably correct me here, but it was fucking awful. And it made no sense. It was trying to be too clever, and it was just awful. So I stayed away from Rock and Roller because of it. Watched it last week for the first time, and Tom Hardy's in it, and I had absolutely no idea that he's in it. And he's I suppose third billing on the film, and it's exactly what you said. He's pretty much employed in that film because of how he looks and how he acts. Well, I suppose that's every actor's job, isn't it? I suppose, but anyone could have played his part in that. And if you'd have never heard of him again, you'd have just thought of just generic guy in a film. And it's only what he's done after that sort of thing where you kind of think, no, he is pretty good. at what he does, and everything he does now is amazing in it,
He
isn't
can
it?
turn his hand to out, can't he?
He can, but it's like you're saying, he's obviously on the way up. He has to take certain films, and he probably was the best thing in that film, but that wasn't saying much. But then you sort of compare him to, I don't know, Dunkirk or even the Batman films. You know, he's arguably the best thing in that film, isn't he? So I hope potentially you might have convinced me around with Matthew McConaughey. But I doubt it, but you know, you might have done.
Give it a go.
Yeah.
Al Pacino is this big corporate boss in this company who runs, like, you know, the biggest betting agency in America, and Matthew McConaughey becomes his right-hand man because of his talent to predict sports results. And that's that's the film. But yeah, and Al Pacino has a really fucking cool suit that he wears throughout this film. And they cut that up into like 60 pieces, and they actually mounted it in a frame with a picture of Al Pacino and a bio. And I stumbled across one, and I was like, oh fucking hell, no way! Like, and it was in a gallery in Barrow, of all places. And I think it was like £90, and I bought it, and I've been trying to sell it for about 5 years, and I can't. Like, nobody will take it.
Absolutely worthless.
I've had it on eBay for minus £10. Simon, do your thing.
Okay, are we ready for Frank's number 5?
You actually, I mean, with that sound, in a way, that could be a clue to my
Free Willy.
I don't even know.
Can I make a guess?
Really? Yeah.
Gravity.
I liked it, but no, it's not. It's
Okay.
not. It didn't even make my top 20.
There's something in my mind with screaming Gravity then.
But it's you know, I know why you mentioned. I know why you mentioned that film. I didn't come prepared. I mean, honestly, I've got.
It's hard to think of clues off the top of your head.
Yeah. No, I didn't.
Lord and ends with rings.
So starts with super, ends with man.
Blue suit, red cape. What you saying?
No, I didn't come prepared, but.
So year it was released roughly.
It was released. It did really well. It did really well when it came out.
Which was when?
When it came out.
When? Yeah.
I'm gonna give you a range. I'm not gonna tell you exactly when it came out. It was between.
Is that because you don't know?
No, I do know, but that could be quite. I think a clue. A good clue.
That's what we're asking for.
That's what we're asking for. A good clue. we need a good clue.
Yeah, but I don't want you to just understand straight away what film is.
So you'd rather we just stare blankly at you for 20 minutes?
Yes.
Right. Okay.
Yes.
No, I didn't realise that. If I knew that's what it was, I would have signed up for it anyway. But you know, just let us know.
Right. It came out between 1995 and 2005. Then I'll be more precise if you know that is not what films more or less within that 10 years of time.
Right.
You know, it makes you think a film that had a massive impact when it came out.
I think you're overestimating our ability to guess films.
No, it's
when you said I'm going to give you a period, I didn't realize it'd be a fucking decade. Like, unless we were talking about 90s girl bands, I'm fucked.
It is starring a very, very, very famous
actor.
A very famous actor,
right?
That is a very famous Canadian actor.
Canadian.
Mainly yeah.
Ross, can I just ask you a question? Is Keanu Reeves Canadian?
Oh, is that the right? Okay, it might be.
Okay.
The Matrix, Frank.
Is it the Matrix, Frank?
It is the Matrix. It is the Matrix. I'm sure 90% that Keanu Reeves is Canadian.
Okay.
Let's see.
He was born in Lebanon, but I think he is Canadian.
That would lead me to believe he's Lebanese.
No, but he has, yeah, I mean, sure, yeah, but he was just born in Lebanon.
He was born in Beirut.
In Beirut, yeah.
And he was raised in Sunderland.
Sunderland.
No, I'm joking. He was raised in Toronto, Canada.
In Toronto, Canada, yes. Yes.
Yeah, so fair enough. You were pretty right there.
Yeah. So yes, Matrix is my made my top 5.
So how do you feel about the? Because I mean that is a good top 5. That is a good number 5. I'll avidly defend the Matrix. Not as Agent Smith, as a film lover.
Yeah.
How do you feel about because whenever Matrix comes up, people always say, yeah, Matrix 1 was pretty good. It should never have been a trilogy. 2 and 3 was shit. And I've never. I mean, Matrix 1 is the best one, but I still really enjoy it as a trilogy, actually.
I'm very much in agreement with you. And for example, I also think that out of the 3 films, the first one is my favorite one. I'm not saying it's probably the most, at least for me, is the most beautiful one out of the 3. Because I think it's way more powerful than the others. But as a standalone film, I wouldn't be happy with it because due to the finale and how the film is structured, I think it needed a second and a third chapter just to develop even more
I think it could never. The reason why the first one is better is because you're new to the concept. So the idea of the Matrix, and you're right, it was pretty groundbreaking. Like I remember when I saw the Matrix for the first time, I was at my cousin's, and his mum had got us a couple of Happy Meals. That's how young we were, right? Got some Happy Meals.
You can still get a Happy Meal at whatever age.
Yeah, not look myself in the eye though. Which would be hard anyway, to be honest. But and well, a mirror. But so we sit there. we sat and watched The Matrix, and I remember thinking, "Fucking hell, this is cool." And actually trying to. It was the first film I think that I watched where I realised that I was into thought-provoking films. Because there's people to this day who are just, if it's something you've got to think about and it's not something that's just going to give it to you on a plate, like a Bond film or whatever, some people are just turned off by it because it requires too much thought, and film viewing should be a purely passive experience for some people, right? So The Matrix for me was like the first one I remember seeing that actually it was powerful because of how you had to think about it. And I was too young to start thinking, well, what about the concepts and the ideologies and the, like I wasn't thinking about any of that, but it just got me thinking about the world as we know it being a simulation, like so then once that's revealed, and once well, okay, so the Matrix is the world as we know it, and the real world is actually this deep cyberspace type dystopian world where machines rule and machines are controlling the world as we know it as a simulation. Once that's given up, then it's hard to really keep it as compelling because you know what the crack is. Matrix 2, you're not going to get that big reveal again. You're just going to build on that idea. Now, the fight scenes are a bit cheesy, but I think it follows suit in terms of everything you love about Matrix 1. Mm-hmm. What is there in Matrix 1 that you love that is not in Matrix 2? Simon.
Well, this might be maybe controversial, but I prefer Matrix 2 to the first one. Yeah, I thought that. I mean, for me, obviously, what I like. The soundtrack is better. I think the soundtrack was purposely made for that film, so I think it works just amazingly. And I think it's the one. the first Matrix was good, and it was very, very different, but it could, a little bit like Star Wars, the first Star Wars film, A New Hope, it could have stopped there quite happily. And if they never made a Matrix 2 or a Empire Strikes Back, those films would stand alone quite well. And I think the fact that at the end of the Matrix, he flies off and goes to do whatever he wants to do, it doesn't matter that it could quite easily have never been followed up, quite easily. Because he's escaped from the Matrix, he's aware of everything, and then he's now got superpowers in the Matrix and he can fly everywhere. That could be left to your own imagination as to where it's going to go. And I think arguably it should, but I think the second one was better. I think the action sequences in the second one are
How
better.
can you make the argument that on the one hand they should have left it with number one, yet number two is your favourite?
I don't know. I don't know.
I
I really don't know. I think anything to avoid the third one. You know, the third one, I think they knew they were onto something, and they had to justify a third one by making it overcomplicated, over preachy, and very worthy for absolutely no reason. And I think the third one ended completely disappointingly. It kind of did it so it had to end that way, but I think the third one was just such a letdown after the second one being so good. But if it was a choice between them just making the original Matrix and leaving it at that, I'd take that than having a trilogy, even though the second one was better. Do you know what I'm saying, though?
No, I think you're talking shit.
Thank you.
Every scene had an impact on the whole arc, the whole narrative arc. This is the narrative arc. This is narrative. This is
right.
This is arc. And this is the YMCA.
No, for a podcast, for an audio podcast, that's amazing. That's gold.
As Greg Wallace would repeat. You've got Keanu
Reeves running through it.
and Lawrence Fishburne again for the Matrix 4. I can't wait.
And the people that maybe will listen to us can't see the video, but
No.
I quite like the fact that we've been talking for maybe an hour and something, and you're starting to use your hands a lot more. Is an effect that I'm having on.
Well, before you came on, we did debate just sellotaping our hands to the desk. But I do need to occasionally write things down, so you know it is needed.
I've just got to revisit really quickly to the MasterChef take on the Matrix, just for the sake of this joke. It's probably not going to be worth it because I've left it too long.
You built it up now. Go on.
Do you not think that you've burned the fish? No, that's fish burn. It's intentional. No. All right. I guess the original delivery was part of the flaw. Yeah.
Now we're ready for Frank's number 4.
That sound is definitely not related whatsoever to the film. It can be used as a clue.
Okay.
We've mentioned the director many times. I think at least a couple of times since we started the podcast. And it is a film that probably I've mentioned to you two guys many times because I've watched it. I don't know, maybe 20 times, probably more. It's quite a fairly, it didn't come out in 1990. It came out in...
I'm going to need a better clue than that.
2010. 2010 is one of my favorite directors. He's a very famous director.
Is it Chris Nolan film?
Yes, it is. Go ahead, Ross. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, it is.
Inception.
It is Inception. Yes. It is Inception. I think I don't know how many times we've talked about this film, maybe at work or any.
I just know that you out of a lot of people, like someone might say, "Oh yeah, that's my favorite film," and they might have seen it 3 times. If something's your favorite film, you have seen it 20 times.
Yeah. Yes, because
and I know, and because of that, because I know how often you watch things. Obviously, if you watch something that many times, it's going to factor into your conversation a lot. That's why I talk about Spice Girls so often.
It's becoming part of your life.
Are you wanting our next special to just be about Spice World? Is that what you're asking, Ross?
Finally, Simon, I just bring the idea to me. You had to bring the idea to me.
Oh, I'm gonna have to sit through Meatloaf being a bus driver.
Sit through Richard D. Grant being a manager.
Yeah. Oh dear.
So Inception.
Yes, definitely Inception.
Quality film, and it's probably one that a lot of people forget Tom Hardy is actually in.
Yeah, he is in.
I would say. He does that sometimes. I also think that one of my it's not in my top 5. It's not even in my top 10. But one of my favorite films is Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy.
Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy is an
amazing. And Tom Hardy was in that. Tom Hardy was in that too, and a lot of people, he's not a main sort of character. Anyway, back to Nolan and Inception. Simon,
I don't remember him being in Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy at all.
He was the blonde guy who was having an affair with the Russian girl. Yeah. And he was the one who originally found out that there was a rat in the circus, in the upper echelon of the circus.
No, I don't remember him in that at all.
Yeah.
And actually, now that you've said it, I think tomorrow we'll watch again Tinker Tailor. I forgot the title.
Go on. No, go on. Say it.
Tinker Tailor Spy.
There you go, Simon. That's Tom Hardy.
Oh, of course, yeah.
As well as Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yeah, I remember him being in it.
But Tom Hardy he plays a character who actually he's the one who first comes across the information, and he's trying to find a way to get the message up to the circus. Without if you're trying to get a message across to the higher top tier of the circus, but one of them is a spy, one of them is a Russian spy, then who do you tell it to? So he had that. It was really. Have you read the book? Has anybody read the book?
No,
I read the fucking book, please.
The books. I remember. It is based on the books. I remember you telling me, Frank, we're going to watch this film tonight. You have to pay attention because it's
word for word.
It's complex, but you got to like it.
Both going to sit in our underwears.
And that being said, with you standing naked in the middle of the living room.
That's Tom Hardy.
That's Tom.
What a lovely voice.
Quality film, great book. But we digress. Simon, you like Inception, right?
You haven't watched Inception?
No, I've watched it. I have watched it a couple of times. I think it was. I might upset you all, so I don't want to.
No.
I think. See my previous answer to The Matrix. I think it was maybe trying to be a little bit too clever, but I thought it was fascinating, and I thought it was really well done. I'd watch Inception over The Matrix 100 times out of 100. I thought
Inception was like a thinking person's film for the layman. I thought.
Yeah, And it does explain everything that's going on. You explain that they're going, they're going under again, and they're going further down, and every time they explain it really well. So, so there's no confusion in regards to it at all. But on the last episode of this podcast that came out, we talked about Inception, and you pronounced that you hated films that left it up for interpretation at the end, if you remember. And I asked you about Inception, and you said no, what I said was complete bollocks. So and unfortunately I agree with you when you said what you said, but didn't agree with it. I think the fact that I like the fact that you don't see the spinny top stop, but you want to know.
Well, I always feel like it's a little bit of a cop-out. It's like you've got the writers sitting down and they're going, right, final scene, guys.
Yeah.
Thinking, yeah, you think it's real. He spins the top, and then we don't know if the spinning top is going to continue going or stop. And they're all like, right, yeah. And then he goes, and then cut to black. And it's like, oh right, I thought you were going to go sort of a bit further. And it just feels like they can't decide. So and it's like, they have like some closure, please.
Yeah. I don't know how you feel about it, but at least I like directors that end a film with an open question, because they want to leave you sort of like the taste of the film, rather than give you a very clear ending that resolves all the questions. And to his credit, related to what we said about The Matrix being a standalone film, maybe Nolan could have done a second film about Inception.
And then Simon would prefer the second one, but bits.
Yes. But to his credit, to his credit, he didn't. And I think this is something that Nolan does to an extent in every single film he's directed. He likes to make films with an open ending, so it keeps the public guessing, and it also raises the tension. So you go and you watch the film again because you want to try to understand things that the first time you didn't see, and this is something that describes me. So I like to go back onto things to try and see whether in this particular case a film raises more questions to me, because just maybe because I'm watching the same film in a different period of my life, so it will have a different effect on me, because it will just speak with a different part of me. This is why Nolan is one of my, it made it into the top 5, because he's one of those directors that, yes, probably goes too far when he wants to make very, very clever films, but it keeps you guessing. It makes you ask questions. So it's an active experience. And I really liked, this expression. It's not a passive experience where, you just go to the cinema just to kill some time. No, you go to cinema because that will make you a better person. That will make you richer. And I think Nolan, with all the criticism that we can make, but is one of those directors that achieves that. I don't know how you feel about it.
How do you feel about Memento?
Memento, actually, I struggled a lot, and I just didn't include. It made definitely my top 20, but I didn't feel I wanted to, continue with it, because I feel like Inception had a bigger impact. It was way more interesting, maybe for the topic, maybe because they talk about dreams and what dreams are like and how powerful a dream can be and the different levels. So time changes depending on the level you're dreaming. But Memento didn't make it, although I really liked the structure, which is not a chronological or structured, but is something new in cinema because he just moved the.
It's a non-linear narrative.
It's non-linear narrative. Thank you.
I was so waiting for that. I knew that was coming. But I also Memento was. It was so different when it came out as well. I think it's tricky when you probably couldn't do a film like that now, because we've seen all that before. We've seen it many times now. But I think certainly at the time, again, that was a similar sort of time, wasn't that? About 2000 or so.
It is around that time, Memento. Yeah.
And I think the fact was you had no idea really that anything like that could be made. Why would you make a film backwards? So although they probably didn't, they would have done it the other way around. But why would you show a film backwards? Not very odd. And it's strange. Inception is an odd one. I sat there. I think I probably sat there mostly confused about what was going on for most of it.
Yeah.
The second time, I maybe got it a bit more. Yeah. But then I wanted the answer. I wanted to know at the end.
I mean, apart from, because I understand that when we watch a film, we want to try and understand the story and we want to have answers. But I mean, at least that's my opinion. Sometimes I try not to ask the film to give me answers, and concentrate more on the emotional side. So how I feel about it, and what questions that particular film raises, without without me trying to understand exactly the message of the film, because maybe Nolan doesn't want to do that. Nolan is doing on purpose, is hiding on purpose the message. And when we approach his films trying to find an answer, that's the wrong approach. At least that's the way I approach his production. For example, to give more grounds to what I'm saying, his last film, Tenet, I didn't like it as much as Inception. Not because I'm trying, because I finished the film and I said to myself, well, I didn't understand absolutely nothing. No, it's because I think he went too far trying to overcomplicate things. Right, because he doesn't know how to move forward with this kind of films. So I tried to just overcomplicate. And have you guys watched Tenet? None of you. Watch it. It's a very Nolan type of film. And on this, I think it was 2 years ago, or maybe 3 years ago. And this is something I haven't told you. I was traveling to the UK, from Spain to the UK. And I was in Madrid airport waiting for the gate to open. And I was sat on the floor. I think I was checking on my phone, etc. I don't know what I was doing. Maybe masturbating in front of. No. I was there, waiting for the gate to open. And I
refuse to fly economy unless I'm going to see a masturbating Italian.
That's actually you will never forget that.
Would all masturbating Italians please go to gate 3?
So basically, I started a conversation with a woman, an American woman, and we talked about our professional life, etc., what we do for work, etc. And then we started talking. Eventually, we started talking about films. And she said, you know that I'm traveling to the UK because then I have to go to Italy where my husband is, and he's filming a new film, helping Christopher Nolan with the direction of his new film, Tenet. And I said, oh, wow, yes, well, so tell me more about this. And she said that her husband is the CGI effect manager of all Nolan's films. And she started, to make reference to the different locations where they've filmed.
You obviously continued masturbating.
Of course, with more intensity than you went.
Tell me more.
Did she say when you finish, then this conversation's over?
And then, but
in true Nolan fashion, I left her wondering whether or not I actually ejaculated. I thought that was a nice touch.
Just staring at the end, just waiting.
Just waiting for that moment. As she reached the third level.
I met this Italian guy in the airport and we had a really good conversation. You know the best thing he did? He was stroking it the entire time. And I couldn't tell you if he ejaculated or not.
And I was staring right in the eye.
It's given me a great idea for a film.
The grunting was getting more and more intense. But then, as I was watching it, everything faded to black. I have no idea.
So, number 3.
Top number 3.
Simon.
Francesco's number 3.
Right. It's very, very difficult. It's been very, very difficult, and still, it's very difficult because I had to make, some rejections that I don't necessarily like. But yeah, that's the way it is. So
that's why you reject something if you don't necessarily like it, though, don't you?
Yeah, but still, yes. But for me, it's not like a complete rejection because maybe in next week I would say, right now, I want this other movie as my number 3.
We're not doing it again next week.
Are we not? This is going to be forever. Shit. I should have made a better
legacy.
This is my legacy.
Etched in time. It's on Tombstone.
Actually, I was listening to a Joe Rogan podcast yesterday, and it has been said that today when we do something, it feels like that is going to be our legacy because it's going to be recorded on every social media. When you say something, it doesn't have the same feeling as before. That it could be forgotten. Today is, you say something is going to be remembered for the rest of your life. Which, anyway, it doesn't tie in with what we're talking.
Try saying that after 40 episodes.
Ross changed his mind within 6 minutes, so there's nothing set in stone.
I mean, you've met me saying something and then waiting for a bit and say, well, I'm not sure anymore. I'm kind of the same. Right, so my top number 3, my podium. Yes, so.
Ron's position.
It was released. I mean, you got to appreciate I didn't include any Italian movie because I wanted to make my top 5 international movies.
Okay.
International directors that I like.
So no Italian films whatsoever?
Am I just giving you a clue that? No, actually, yes. Okay. But wait a moment.
Okay.
What I'm trying to say is there could have been more Italian films if this was an Italian top 5 movies. Okay? Right. So, the film was released in 1968.
Okay.
It was big. Very, very big at the time because of the way they filmed it, with how clever they were to recreate things that at the time it couldn't be done with CGI effect. But still, the result was absolutely great. And just let's leave it at that. Let's see what you think about the.
So name a film that was made in 1968. Basically, is that what you're trying to say to us?
That's what I'm trying to say.
I'm just thinking of films that were groundbreaking, or again, using how I know you to think about directors that you like. I'm just going to take a wild guess.
Yeah.
Is it 2001: Space Odyssey?
Oh, you see, yes, it is. Yes, it is. 1968. That was the film that it was groundbreaking. And Kubrick is definitely a director that I would include in any top list that I would do. And from this point of view, I would agree with you. I would, it's complicated not to include him because his photography was great, and the concept is always this. This is the message I want to pass on: are the concepts that make a film very, very big for me. And then, of course, how much I enjoy it and the photography, etc. But the concepts are just in that film are just amazing and mind-blowing. Just think.
And monoliths are actually appearing now.
And monoliths are actually
Oh,
it's actually a good point. That's actually a good, very, very good point. And
monkeys like Ross are using knives and forks now, so it's all good.
I'm sure you two watched it.
Oh.
How many times you watched it? How did you find it? It's still very confusing. Well,
first time I watched it, I watched it because of the sort of Star Wars influence, and I thought this is going to be like Star Wars, and I couldn't be more wrong. I think I watched the video shop that I've discussed. I used to get videos out that I shouldn't have done, but I remember getting 2001 and watching it, and I must have been 7 when I got it, and I knew it was good, but I was so confused. It was literally like a passive experience, like you said. I was just watching all these things happen, and
all
I did. The colours. I had no idea what I was watching. I knew it was brilliant, but I my brain was too tiny to get anywhere near it. But I also knew I loved it. And at the end, because also 2010 I think had just come out, and I'd been to see 2010 before I'd seen 2001, and I remember enjoying 2010. It's basically Jaws in space, 2010, and it's terrible, but because David comes back to see the guy in 2010, and it actually sort of explains a little bit about 2001, but obviously it was explaining a film that I'd never seen. So then I watched 2001 and realized that I still didn't understand any of it. Like you say, the fact that it was filmed in 1968 is mind-blowing. If you get a 4K version of it now, it looks like it could be made. It could have just been released this week. It's almost timeless in regards to that. The only thing that sort of gives things away is the bits in the middle where Leonard Rossiter's got flares on. That sort of ties it to a time. But apart from that, that's about it. The music's fantastic. If you watch it now, they even have the intermission in the middle of it. I don't know if you've seen that version.
Yes, I've seen that version.
And you just like,
right. Yeah.
I'm just looking at a blank screen now,
Yeah.
but I couldn't take my eyes off it, which is so weird. And you're thinking, you know what? I actually do want a chalk ice. Where's the lady with the chalk ices on a tray?
Particularly on this point, I was thinking about it this week because I watched it again. Try to imagine. I mean, the way I've tried to understand that part, where basically you're just watching a blank screen and nothing happens.
Yeah.
Try to imagine yourself into a cinema after 2 hours of film that is pretty intense. Yeah. And then you get that moment when sort of like you feel more relaxed, but you don't know what is going to come next. So it raises even more the tension. So sort of is, at least to me, it's not like liberating. You think, all right, okay, right, this is a break, so I can just take a breath. No, it's even more intense. The intensity probably of this film, because I do understand as little as you, and I've got so many questions about it that I would like to have an answer, which I don't have. But it's so intense that I think as an acting experience, it should be seen, from my opinion, it should be seen from everybody. Yeah. Apart from the fact that nobody will actually understand what Kubrick wanted to say with that film, but yeah.
And I think that the fact it covers such a long amount of time as well. It starts at the beginning of humanity, and you sort of, to an extent, when you're watching the apes or the monkeys or whatever they are, you almost forget there's another film after it.
Yeah.
You're waiting for the bit where he throws the bone up in the air, and you realize you've been watching this film for 25 minutes. And this almost has no reflection on the rest of the film, even though obviously it does, because it shows how we learn to use weapons and things like that.
Yes.
And that the monolith essentially gave us the art to move on and improve.
Yeah.
Sorry, this is the most I've talked for a while. Sorry, but I watched it again about 3 weeks ago, and I forgot the effect that it had on me, and I wanted to watch it again immediately.
Yeah.
And it's like fucking 12 hours long. It's a long film, but I wanted to watch it again immediately, and I thought, no, I actually can't do that. That's how problems start. But it was.
Did you? Sorry if I stop you there. Did you find yourself, waking up as a child, like happened the film, just after you watched it 3 times? And
yeah, just sit in a little bubble naked watching Charlotte. Yeah. Yeah, and I remember that bit, and I was just sort of thinking, has he died? No, he hasn't. He's started again. And and then it was like, has he turned into a planet? What's gone on? It's your best choice so far. Congratulations.
Thank you.
It's worth getting you on now.
All right, yes, I made it. No,
the only thing I'm concerned about is Ross has been so quiet. It's unnerving me.
No, 2001 is I've only ever seen it once, and it was a long time ago. I've read it more recently.
Right.
I think I read it about 4 or 5 years ago, and I haven't seen it in about 15 years, maybe more. So I do need to go back and watch it, but it's also sort of having to take a week off work to watch it that brings it up.
At the time, around
1968.
1968. Sorry. So that's what I'm trying to say. No, I wanted to say late 60s. I don't actually know why. I'm just
Ross, we might need to reboot Frank.
This is that's the effect. That's the effect of the.
I thought you were casting some kind of fucking spell.
How can I be more Italian? Yeah.
I don't know what Frank just did, but I've shat myself. I think more people, if you're playing, tell me like song association. Like if you play a song and you say tell me the first thing that comes in your mind, and you played the Blue Danube.
Do you want to be Matt?
Spice up your life! Everybody, here we go!
If you were to play that song and you say, right, what's the first thing that comes into your head? Everyone would go space.
That is such a good quiz for us to have at the end of this series.
What? First thing that comes into your head?
Yeah.
Everyone would go space. People who haven't seen 2001 would say space.
Yeah.
Right? So the soundtrack far outweighs the film in terms of legacy and recognition and fame. The soundtrack 10 times more than the film. There'll be so many people you could say, if you said 2001, 1968, they go, what the fuck are you talking about, mate? But if you play them that song, they go, oh, that's a space song.
No, what happened is they go, do you remember that film 1968? And they go,
And then we just see 2 feet in the air as Frank's falling off. Slowly more and more back.
Yeah.
2 feet. Same sound.
My stomach hurts.
Yep, good choice, Frank. Frank's number 2. 1968.
This has been a very, very hard choice. Very, very, very hard. Although I'm very happy with my number 2 and my number 1.
We're not your doctor.
I asked you to come in for a checkup. Why have you got a turd in a box? I'm just coming to tell you, first of all, but before I tell you about my headaches, I'm very happy with my number 2. I just wanted to show you.
Oh,
number 1 or 2, I can't remember.
It is... I'll give you just very straightforward.
Okay. Yep.
It is my favorite director of all times.
Okay.
So I think I know who this is, but I'm going to let Simon.
Hateful Eight.
No.
Oh, I'm a close though.
The Hateful Eight. I thought about it, and no, it's definitely not.
You've seen that film 3,000 times.
Anywhere between 15 and 20 times, I would say.
But the grand total of that is 1 2001 Space Odyssey viewing.
Yes.
When was that made, Frank?
The thing is, you're going to release this podcast with just a series of letters.
Simon normally has to cut the arms out. Now he's got
only every single one staying in
weird
tonight.
shaman shit.
Right. So you both.
How weird would it be if you did that every time you had to think about something?
You imagine me standing with my pose doing that.
All I want is a 52mm UV.
There's a SWAT team on the outside saying, I think that's the signal. I think we need to go in.
So you both.
Simon's gone. Is it a Quentin Tarantino film?
It is definitely a Quentin Tarantino film.
Inglourious Bastards.
Yes, it is. After very, very, very long debate within myself, because you know how much I love Tarantino, and I was initially, when I looked at my top 5, I was going to say, right, it's going to be just Tarantino. But, then, I started thinking about it, and I didn't want just him to be, the main protagonist, basically. And I've debated it between making Inglourious Bastards or Pulp Fiction my number 2. Because Pulp Fiction would definitely be, it will always be one of my favorite films. In more particularly of Tarantino. But between the two, I've tried to think of the one film I have enjoyed the most. Not only the film that I've watched more times than the other, because probably they go on probably on the same level. But the film that I have enjoyed the most. And Inglourious Bastards, for the vibe, for the dialogues, is definitely my number 2. And on this, I would like to say something. I had such a strange relationship with this film, because the first time I watched it, it probably was when it first came out, which was, wait a minute. You can play it. That's something, recorded when people are thinking. By the way, this is the sound of your brain when it thinks.
I just need a big red button on the desk. Anytime anyone has to think, I just slap it. You go,
Yes. It came out in 2009.
Yeah.
So I think I watched it around that time, maybe a year later. And at the time, yes, I was into films, but not as much as I am now. So I had a strange relationship with it. So I watched it and I didn't like it. And I think because I was missing the point, I was trying to understand what answer the film wanted to give me. So I was approaching the film in the completely wrong way. So I missed all the points of just enjoying the film as it is, regardless of the point that Tarantino wants to make. Then I watched it and I left it. I didn't. I've converted myself, in an anti-Inglorious Bastard person. Then I watched it about, I think, probably 3, 4, 5 years later, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. Every single thing of the film, the way the photography, the way it's directed, every single dialogue, it's just the best. It's so funny. I would watch it every single moment of my life, and I would watch it in English though. This is something else I would like to say. And you know me, and you know how much I enjoy watching films in the original language, and particularly with this one, because the scene in the cinema with Brad Pitt saying "Buongiorno" in Italian.
Buongiorno.
Domenico di Cocco. I think
Margherite.
Yes, Margherite.
I do one more time. Margherite.
Very well. I think it works perfectly in English. And I think probably in a nutshell, that's also what you can really understand how Tarantino feels about it, and how, the way he wants his films to approach his public. In Italian, they've tried to recreate the same while speaking in Italian, but it doesn't work.
No.
They've tried to compare two different dialects, one from Sicily, one from Naples, and it doesn't really work. So I think there's a huge misunderstanding with dubbing that film into the Italian language. Although I, of course, appreciate,
well, that's exactly it's exactly what I was going to ask you, though, because obviously, I think there's maybe only a fifth of the film is in English anyway. The rest of it is one of those films where if they're French, they speak in French. If they're German, they speak in German. If they're Italian, they speak in Italian. And I think it's one of the few times where it properly works. Yes. And you don't mind it at all, do you? You're watching it, you think, well, I'm reading the subtitles, but I'm watching this film, and you sort of think, well, that's how they would talk, yes. and that joke, the Margherite, would not work if it was dubbed in Italian.
Yes,
it just doesn't work, because the joke is they can't speak Italian, but he's speaking Italian.
Yes.
And it's
from Domenico di Cocco.
He was the third best speaking Italian, wasn't he? He didn't know Italian. So I think it's there are obviously some films that need to be dubbed because you would spend most of your time watching the subtitles instead of watching the film. But I think in regards to this, it kind of had to be done that way.
I watch everything with subtitles without fail.
Even like Coronation Street.
Everything. I watch everything with subtitles. Me and Fatima both were the same. Watch everything has subtitles. Yeah, you have no idea how much of a more enriching experience it is. Use it. The thing is, for me, it came from.
So when you watch MasterChef, do you watch MasterChef with subtitles then?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're watching MasterChef in Spanish with English subtitles?
No, I just whatever it is, it's got subtitles. We always have subtitles on.
Right.
All the time. And it started when I first started studying film in college, and I'd never seen a film that wasn't English or American. And then he started watching all of, we started doing French New Wave, and we started looking at Spanish. We started watching Pedro Almodovar films. Yeah, and obviously you need subtitles. And I found I got that used to reading subtitles in films, because most of the films we were watching were foreign films, that when I didn't have subtitles, I found it a bit odd. So then I started watching every film in subtitles, and then and then I realized, I thought, fucking hell, I'm actually getting way more out of this because I'm not missing a beat. I'm not missing anything. There's nothing going unsaid that is not registering because it's like reading a book. Everything's going.
So when you went back and watched all the Marvel films, you watched them with subtitles.
Yeah, of course.
So even if it doesn't, regardless whether the film is in English or let's say in Italian, you watch it always with subtitles.
I don't know how many more ways I can say I watch everything with subtitles.
Let me get this right. Let's nail this down.
I mean, do you want to go through any more languages and ask if I watch subtitles?
I don't know why, but I have the feeling, different topic, different moment, different day, me and Simon have done exactly the same thing to you when you try to say something like it's very, very clear what the message you want to pass on, but you get to the same question from me and Simon.
We need to throw 10 examples in that all have the same question behind it.
So have you watched Ghostbusters with the subtitles in?
Everything I watch with subtitles. Doesn't matter what it is. I use subtitles, not because I'm hard of hearing, but because I prefer it.
Right.
For me, it's not. It is not in any way distracting from what's going on screen. I don't look at it like, oh, I have to look down to the bottom to read and then look up like that. No, it's just it's all part of the experience for me.
I'm watching it. I'm enjoying it. It's good.
Previously, when I tried to watch, when my first experience with subtitles on a film, I was just stood there like that.
1968. I mean, the only thing I agree with you in regards to the fact that it doesn't affect the film. We've said before, I went through a Jackie Chan phase, and they're all dubbed, they're all subtitled. And sometimes even the ones that are dubbed are subtitled because they're dubbed so badly, and it doesn't affect anything. But
It's slowly turning Italian.
But if you understand the language that's being spoken, I'm not sure about the subtitles. That's all. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying you're wrong. It's just that it's a bit odd. I think
it's not. Well, it is. Not a lot of people do it. But,
sometimes
once you understand the value of it, you'll never because the thing is, me and Fatima are exactly the same. In fact, her dad, when we were living in Bolton, obviously between houses, and we were living with the parents in Bolton for a couple of months, and we share accounts on everything. We share Netflix, Amazon, Disney, all the streaming services we share. That wasn't an advert. We're in no way sponsored by any streaming platform.
If Disney do want to sponsor us, then we're up for it.
Yeah, I'm very much agnostic, but Amazon Prime's got some bangers. And obviously, whenever Fatima and I are watching it, straight away the first thing we do is we go to the subtitles and switch them on. And it was one of them. Every time we were sat with the mum and dad, we were picking a film or picking a series, and dad would be like, "Fucking subtitles," try to find a way to switch them off.
Don't you find that
you ask me if I watch any other type of film or series?
No, because then I want to make also a point, because I think this is a very, very interesting topic. Don't you find that the subtitles sometimes are a simplified version of the, let's say, for instance, the English speech? So they don't actually match up completely.
Only if it's live.
You should.
If you watch it, if you're watching broadcast television, it's fucking hilarious because they completely misinterpret everything because some cunt sat there typing it as they're saying it.
I'm not sure about this. I'm not saying that this isn't true, because I know it is. But for example, I've watched many films in English with English subtitles to try and learn even more the language, to follow along, and the subtitles and the speech don't actually match up exactly sometimes. And I find that the subtitles are just a simplified version of what the actor in that particular moment is.
You're confusing two things here. You're confusing subtitles with subtitles for the hearing impaired.
No.
Because if you go to subtitles for hearing impaired, that's exactly what it is. It's simplified version of what they're actually saying.
I'm not. How do you feel about that, Simon? Do you agree with me, or what you think is?
It's not an argument; it's a fact.
I'm just want to raise the topic.
No, I think Ross is right. I think if you're watching a live program, especially like something like the news is always about 10, 15 seconds behind, and sometimes they do get the words right. I mean, it's not a guy typing as Ross imagined. It's like a bot.
Very stressed.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck.
This guy. 1968.
They're not gonna care about this.
I don't know what he said. I'm just gonna write Minge.
I'm being told off. I'm just off that we're taking too much time and that I'm talking too loud and what the neighbors will think about us, and don't make strange noises, which I don't know exactly.
Francesco's number one.
Just a second, my laptop almost done. Right, okay. So, my number one. The only clue I feel I want to give you is it has the most beautiful soundtrack of all times. Of all times, and I'm not. I can't accept somebody saying that I'm not right.
Tell you what, I'm going to challenge you. I don't know what this film is yet, but I'm going to make my task to beat your soundtrack.
Are you going to say The Snowman, Ross?
Well, I wasn't, but I will now. I was actually going to say Spice World.
In a film, though, it will have to be a soundtrack for a film. Okay?
Can I guess the composer?
I've told you at the beginning of this.
I know who the greatest film composer is of all time. I mean, I know that.
Yeah.
It's Ennio Morricone.
That's not an opinion. That's a fact.
It's Ennio Morricone.
Yes.
Did he write your soundtrack?
Yes, he did.
Okay, right. Okay.
I'm an open book. I told you that. An open book.
Just with English subtitles at the bottom.
Just with English subtitles.
I think I know this.
I think I might as well. Shall I take a quick stab?
You've just been for one, haven't you?
Is it The Mission? No. Go on. Sorry, do apologize.
Is it my turn to take a stab?
Yeah, go on.
Is it Cinema Paradiso?
No, it's not. Although that's a really good point, and I've struggled a lot not to include that film into my.
Well, you've already been on this podcast and said that it's your favorite film.
It's still a great film. Maybe
yeah.
It
No, it is. It's a beautiful film. Yeah,
it
is a beautiful film.
It felt right at the time to say that was one of my favorite films. Yeah.
Is it a Western?
Yes, it is.
Is it The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly?
The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
That's your all-time favorite.
Yeah. And this ties in a little bit with my me being such a big fan of Tarantino, and me being a very big fan of Sergio Leone, which I do still consider a great director, a wonderful director. The way he filmed, the way he used music, the close-ups shots that he created at that time was incredible, absolutely mind-blowing. And
I had no idea that was your number one. if you'd have asked me before, like, I had an idea in my mind of some of the films that would be in there.
Yeah.
I knew Tarantino would be in there. I knew Nolan would be in there. I had an idea that perhaps Scorsese might be in. I would never actually have. I had no idea that you were such a big fan of Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. I mean, I thought
Yes.
I knew you.
This is
I can't believe you kept that from me for all this time.
This is a moment where Francesco revealed this. himself
ladies
after so many years.
and gentlemen, we just witnessed the end of a friendship.
The end of the friendships.
But you just said The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly is one of your all-time favorite films, isn't it?
Mine?
Yeah.
No.
All right. Okay. He isn't. All right. Friendship over.
I mean, I recognize it for what it is. It's a fantastic film, and I love Sergio Leone films. Ennio Morricone is not only one of my favorite film composers; he's one of my favorite musicians. Full stop. Like,
yeah,
you know, I've listened to Ennio Morricone albums for years and years and years. I can quite happily sit and listen to an entire Ennio Morricone score.
Yeah.
But I mean, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. I think Fatima actually likes it more than I do, but she's like got this weird crush on Clint Eastwood.
All right. Now, I've tried, to think what are the things that make, for me, a film the best of all times. And I always come across with music, story, and the questions, and the message that the director wants to come across with. And I think that film has everything. And I mean, I'm happy, for example, and I told you this.
I'm glad.
Yes.
I'm happy, for example, and all the English rappers. So it's good.
Yeah, and all the English rappers as well.
Yeah.
The last iconic scene in Sad Hill, where the three of them, the good and bad, the ugly, are going to fight, to get the money at the end, the treasure. I've been there. I've actually been to that cemetery in Spain.
I thought you meant the situation.
No, I didn't.
When the chips are down and it's between you and the treasure. I've been there.
No, I didn't want to say I've been in that position. No, I've physically been to the location where they filmed that scene, which is in Spain, because the entire film was filmed in Spain. The first part of the film in the south of Spain. The first part of the film in the south of Spain, and the last part of the film in the north of Spain. Sorry, yes. And yeah, that last final scene at Sad Hill is hidden between the mountains around a town called Burgos.
Did you reenact it? Tell me you reenacted it.
Reenacted it? What does that mean?
Did you play the scene out like it is in the film?
Yes, definitely, yes.
Which one were you? The Ugly?
I do. out of the three, because I think that all
The Good,
of
the
them,
Bad, and the Italian is the director's cut.
Out of the three,
The Good, the Bad, and the Budgie Smuggler.
Out of the three,
Good,
I
the
think
Bad,
that...
and the
Definitely the ugly. Definitely the ugly is, although the other two characters are as well amazing, but yeah, definitely the ugly.
Yeah.
Correct. It transcends.
People would say.
Can I stop you a second? I'm just being kicked out from the room. I need to move my laptop.
We'll be We'll be finishing in the next 5 minutes anyway.
Yeah.
Right. Sí. Bollocks. Yes.
Frank, you said it would take 20 minutes.
Wait a second.
I always say per hour. It could be 2 hours. It could be 6 hours.
Right. I almost broke up with Cameron.
Yeah.
So, thanks for joining us. That was Francesco's top 5. Let's just recap. Number 5 was The Matrix. Number 4, Inception. Number 3, 2001. Number 2, Inglourious Bastards. And number 1, I didn't write down. What was it?
The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Correct. There you go.
Good.
Definitely a good top 5 there. You agree, Ross?
Yeah, you can't argue with any of them, really. I mean,
No.
The thing is, none of them are in my top 5, but, they could be.
Yeah,
They are 5 films that I would recommend to anybody to watch.
absolutely.
There was a couple of nice little surprises in there. I know Frank very, very well, and always his taste in film very well, and there were still some curveballs in there.
Yeah.
I knew what directors I would see, but the specific films, it was nice to see Inglourious Bastards in there, because my favorite Tarantino film is Inglourious Bastards. It's the one I've seen the most. I've watched it quite obsessively. I thought that your film, Frank, might have been Hateful Eight.
Yeah.
Because you try and convince me to watch it every fucking Sunday with you.
By the way, The Good and the Bad and the Ugly, the soundtrack of that film, has one of the rhythms that then Ennio Morricone used to create the soundtrack of The Hateful Eight.
Yeah.
Pieces of that original soundtrack have been used and then developed on to do The Hateful Eight.
Yeah, it was unused.
That's a little bit of
it was unused parts that he gave to Tarantino to use, didn't he? So it was kind of developed from it. So it kind of all comes together quite nicely for you there.
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah,
It's almost like you thought about it. Yeah.
I thought about it.
So thank you for that. Follow us on Twitter, Ross, at S&R_podcast.
Fucking hell, you got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so follow us on Twitter. If you like and subscribe to our channel wherever you listen to your podcasts, that means that you'll get new episodes. You'll get notified of new episodes every Monday morning when they're released.
And remember on Patreon, if you go to Patreon and search in Simon and Ross, you can pay a little bit of money and you'll get episodes early and extra episodes.
It's also the equivalent of one coffee.
That's a coffee a month. A coffee a month.
Help support us, put more time into doing it.
Yeah.
Because, ask Simon. I mean, I do all the editing. I do all of the... No, I'm joking. It's all on Simon. I show up once a week, like the rest of yous.
This is the only thing keeping me slightly sane at the moment. So, it's, yeah.
So thank you very much, Frank. That was really good. It was good to have you on finally. I think it was important that you did come on, because I knew that the choices and your thoughts and reasoning for those choices would always be very interesting. So thank you very much for doing it.
Thank you, guys.
One final question. What are you?
In this particular moment, I am
single.
In the shit.
That can happen very, very soon, I think. What I wanted to say is I'm probably 90% of beer and the rest.
No, that's fair.
No, what am I? Well, I'm definitely a person that enjoys films and believes in the power of love and
Christ.
Can develop,
You say Christ.
Christ.
Well, that's an ending for you. Cheers.